It is not true if I were to say that I didn't take something that was counterfeit. That mental health diagnosis that I was given in March of 2010 was counterfeit. It was fraud, it was fake. But I accepted it and I went through residential treatment for several months. And then I accepted employment with a third party provider of job services that then helped me get my jobs at St. James Infirmary and the Department of Public Health. And then later, based on the alleged merits of that fraudulent mental health diagnosis, I got my job in the compliance department at the Department of Public Health in San Francisco. And while I was in that job, I witnessed the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services Office of Inspector General engage a several year process of suspicious targeting of people from foreign countries for allegations of fraud without likewise investigating or cracking down on people that were born in the United States. And over the years, that information has been disappeared, while other racial and ethnic groups are targeted instead. So it's one of those things that has to be addressed forthrightly. That diagnosis was absolutely counterfeit, fraudulent, a fake, a forgery. Everything that it was used to accrue any credit or commerce on, fake, fraudulent. At some point, I said, I'm entitled to redress because it was fake and fraudulent. I'm still pursuing it as fake and fraudulent. But in the meantime, is everything that was acquired as a result of it also fake and fraudulent? Especially if it reveals that there was serious crime and that at the time I identified it as a fake and forgery and was told, no, it's actually not. No, it's authentic. And then years later, it proves to be just that. And not only does it prove to be just that, but they try it a second time under circumstances that are absolutely 100% undeniably fake and fraudulent. Somebody accepted it. Somebody accepted payment. Somebody accepted credit. Somebody accepted the R&D. Somebody accepted the legitimization of the political scheme that occurred concurrent to it, which also includes allowing the State Bar of Texas to pass the Sunset Review, which also involves the Texas judiciary co-conspiring with traitors in the State Bar of Texas and others in the legislature to come up with some commission to divert problems with mental health treatment for acts of securities fraud that they are now leveraging in commission of crimes. All of that's fake. All of that's fraudulent. All of that has been an accrual of that initial counterfeit, forgery, fraud concerning a completely inaccurate diagnosis as mentally ill. I'm not even talking about the copyrights. I'm not even talking about the patents. I'm not even talking about the other fake identification documents or even the fake background check through the FBI. I mean, obviously it was fake because if I went through an FBI fingerprint background check in order to qualify for my job and I literally can't even get an FBI agent to acknowledge my report now, something fraudulent occurred along the way. It's very serious, and unfortunately, because the United States hasn't acknowledged its credit problem, very many other people in the world that allowed themselves to leverage their political risk capital portfolios on the United States have also been divested. I cannot aid and abet a conspiracy to allow waiving off prosecutions for political corruption and other high crimes onto people in important positions in other countries so that it can be borrowed by criminals in the United States to cover up for their crimes while they just issue civil penalties that get recirculated into business operating costs for their financiers, funders, and people connected to the entities anticipating to get contracts after the forced privatization of the federal system. See, in order to force that privatization, they have to pool all the rest of the people as collateral to launder their dirty deals and try to get us to agree to confidentiality. or mischaracterize and create even more fraud in saying it's about intelligence or counterintelligence to justify some bullshit designation as classified or redacted for national security purposes. I'm sorry. I apologize. The truth of the matter is that was my hedging strategy. It was. But it got stolen, and somebody tried to use it as political risk insurance to cover up for somebody that was engaged in a completely fraudulent election in 2016, as they contested somebody else engaged in a completely fraudulent election in 2016. It's come due. It's come due. They can't cover it. But she did. And unless you are willing to address the fact that the entire process has been rife with fraud, you have to see. You have to see. That's unfortunately the way it is, isn't it? Isn't this the lesson all of us were supposed to learn because our elders had already done it? And that's what justified you guys being allowed to maintain your positions as long as you did? You weren't confident that we understood how complicated the world is and how many hard decisions we have to make. I believe that's also an inaccurate assessment.